But again, the South-South, or the Southeast rather, has no monopoly to complain. Because even the Northeast have their complaints. They are the largest region in the country by landmass. The largest, approximately 280,000 square kilometers. In simple terms, for every 3 steps you take around the country, you make 1 step in the Northeast. So based on logic, that they are the largest region, you will expect that is where infrastructures will land. But is that what is happening today? No. What you have landing in the Southeast is not infrastructures, it's bombs. And so they have a right as well to complain. The South-South also have a right to complain. That is where that sweet honey of Nigeria comes from. And so that sweet honey comes from the South-South. And it is distributed across all the regions. So they also have a right to say self-determination. Even the Northwest could say, post 5 decades of independence, they are still the poorest region. Average poverty rate in the Northwest, 72.5%. 7 out of 10 people living in the Northwest are poor. And that is where the president comes from. So they could also say they would rather have their president, or our president, lead them, rather than their president being shared to fight corruption in Nigeria. That they've also got their own problems.
But the big question will be, if there is a regional division, which one will best stand?
The whole is bigger than the sum of the parts. And so at the end of it all, each will be worse off. It's similar to the laptop. It's of no value to you if it's all put aside. Take out everything that makes it up. The screen, the processors, but put it all together. And it creates phenomenal power.
Okay, we're also looking at distribution of some public institutions, but you're looking at the public primary schools here. You talk about this region census. What does that entail?
It's just one aspect of why we've got these complaints. So remember, during the last census, 54% of the population was said to be in the north. So we've got 54% and then we've got 46% in the south. However, the distribution of public primary schools, which is the basis of knowledge, which is the best investment we can give children, isn't in that manner. So we've got 54% of the population in the north. However, we've got approximately going close to 70% of public primary schools in the north. And so let's you query that there's a need for us to equitably look at how all resources are distributed. So we've gotten to a point where everything needs to be questioned. And like I said, it's because we've got an arithmetic problem. We don't look at the facts, we don't analyze the facts, and indeed, we don't like being told the facts.
So it turns out that the Southeast too now has, they have 12%, and then what, 9% of the public primary schools?
So we've got the Southeast.
Oh, they have 9, South-South also has 9% as well.
Then you've got majority, significant majority in the north. But again, the south and the north could also have reasons for all of this, because they could easily say the south is where the economic potential is. What do I mean by the south is where the economic potential is? The southwest region, for instance, generates an IGR of 414 billion naira. That was the IGR for last year. But what does this mean? Out of an IGR, a national IGR of 801 billion naira, it simply means one region generates more internally generated revenue. More region indeed has a higher economic potential than the 5 other regions combined together. Let me make myself clear. IGR is just one way to measure economic potential. How much money a state or a region can generate, economic potential. And indeed, if the Southwest earns more IGR than all other 5 regions combined together, indeed, someday, the Southwest could also raise up their hands and say, excuse me, sir, I also have a right to self-determination. That the Southwest is where the economic potential is. The Northwest could grumble that, but the Northwest is where the poverty is. The Southeast could grumble that, where are the minorities? The Northeast could say, excuse me, sir, we represent Nigeria, we are the largest region. The South-South could say, no, we provide the money. And indeed, if the Northwest, the Northeast, the Southwest, the South-South, and the Southeast do exercise whatever rights of self-determination, automatically the North Central finds itself by itself as a country, even if that wasn't the plan. And so today, there's a need for us to have an equitable discussion, not only on how resources will be shared, but who determines what is perhaps even more important. There are problems on how voting power is being distributed. There are problems on how the population is being distributed. There are problems everywhere. But more beyond the problems that we've identified today, that we've seen that no region has the monopoly to complain, is for us to now discuss the solutions. To discuss the solutions. Now, one solution is, among several, that I'd like to share is communication. People don't get along because they fear one another. Now, they fear one another because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they don't communicate with each other. So we need to improve communication at 3 levels. What are these levels? The first level is improving communication within the family and community. We need to communicate better at that level. Okay. The second level is we need to communicate better at the formal education. And finally, the government needs to communicate better with the people and indeed with itself.
All right, Jide, just give us a moment. We'll be back. Welcome back. So from what we've seen in your figures, it shows that there is lopsidedness in the system, and basically restructuring is about addressing them.
Yes, and in the final analysis, that is it. But make no mistakes, I don't think this is, and this will lead to the end of Nigeria. Neither do I think it's the beginning of the end. But if we do not take action, it will be perhaps the end of the beginning. Winston Churchill.
All right, Babajide Ogunsanwo is our data and information analyst. But just before we go, we have some comments here. Chinagora was speaking about the McCarthy interview. Says, in as much as he condemns both actions, but he thinks that the action of Arewa youth is more dangerous to the coexistence of Nigerians than that of IPOB, as the former threatens a third party while the latter is concerned about itself. He thinks it is misleading to insinuate that the AYC were harmless in their actions against the harmful action of IPOB. That's Chinagaram writing in that. But we do also have one from Chinedu Osama, who says, at the heart of our problem as a country is leadership. He says, leadership hoodwinks the people. He voted APC in the last election because of what he thought was a firm promise of devolution of power through federalism. It was cardinal in the APC manifesto. He says he's surprised that more than 2 years into a 4-year tenure, nothing is being said or done about it. Chinedu writing in from Delta. So there you go, that's the show today. We thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain Usal.
I'm Gimba Umar. It's Friday. Stay safe. Bye for now.
Well, we also thank you very kindly for your meals on farming, which is definitely something to celebrate. Thank you so much for watching and wishing you a splendid weekend. I'm Maokbe Ogun.